Hey, I'm in Los Gatos, California, and I'm with Dan Isaac, CTO of Digital Twin Consortium. And Dan, we are coming to the end of the year. We are, 2025. So if you reflect back, what are some of the highlights?
I think really, if you think about it, when we started this year off within the consortium, we said this is the year of implementation. This is the year we're going to be able to show, as one of our members says, where the rubber hits the road, where you have the hardware, the software, the systems, the applications, all of that coming together to demonstrate the true value of a digital twin through real-world applications. We started in January at our regional member meeting that we had up in Heilbronn, right outside of Stuttgart, and we had about, I'd say, a little over 100 people there. And we announced that we're going to launch this implementation focus. We call it Testbed. So we started as a Testbed initiative. We brought the concept forward. We built out with a Testbed advisory committee made up members of our steering committee as well as leads of our working groups, other areas, experts in their area. And we formulated the whole process. By May, we had 8 test beds that we publicly announced. You can go to our site, digitaltwinconsortium.org. You can see
I was
those.
there. At May,
Exactly. So
in Denver,
we announced
right?
those,
Yeah.
and that was in Denver. And then we had our next quarterly member meeting. Well, 2 quarterly member meetings later, and that was in September. We announced another 8 test beds. So we're going from January with 0 to now end of September. We now have 16 test beds.
Wow.
We just finished our last member meeting. It was in San Francisco. Brilliant, phenomenal. You can read about that on our site. But we announced another 4 test beds just a couple weeks ago. So we now have 20 test beds that we have publicly announced, and they're on our site. You can read all about them. So think about that. We've gone from 0 to over 20 of these because we have some that we're getting ready to announce again at our next quarterly member meeting, which will be in Reston, Virginia in March.
So Dan, how does a company take advantage of these test beds?
So number one, it is a member value. And you come up, we have a whole process in place where we look at let's understand what is it that you want to test? What is the hypothesis that you want to validate?
Okay.
And from that perspective, understand what is the impact to your specific area, the domain that you're focusing on. And from that point of view, what does it look like in terms of the overall ecosystem? How does that advance the ecosystem in general? So we look at that. The Testbed Advisory Committee reviews these proposals. So we have a use case, we have proposals that come through. There's essentially a canvas, 10 criteria, and evaluate that for the viability. Is this something that's practical that will bring that value and show that? And so then we start that whole process. That's on our website. You can take a look, again, download, understand the different test beds that we have, the different areas. It is a member value.
Right. So I have a question on this. I know that you have 5 types of AI agents.
Sure.
So how does this AI agent and digital twin tie together?
That's a great question. When we first brought out one of the very first frameworks that we were looking at was essentially a toolkit to understand how do I go about starting my journey of a digital twin?
Right.
And look at it in terms of understanding it from a perspective of what is the job I'm hiring the digital twin for? Because there's a lot of hype out there. And what we really look to do is to cut through that hype by demonstrating that value, again, through these real world applications to help to accelerate the adoption of digital twin. So understand what is the job, you're hiring the digital twin, then what would the resume of the digital twin look like in terms of capabilities?
Right.
Understand those capabilities in terms of really looking at it, the way the framework came about. This was based on one of the members' discussions with one of their end customers. And looking at it in that context of, I have a multidisciplinary company. They're in all parts of the world. One is working on security, another one's working on the platform stack, another one's working on some of the different algorithms. But they're all working on a digital twin.
Right.
So what is the mechanism? What can I do to bring that together and to show them that their decisions impact each other, that there is interdependencies around these areas in terms of interoperability, in terms of security, in terms of trust, reliability, resiliency. So that's where the member said, okay, well, let me think about it. Let me give you a very simple a very common format, very well understood, and that's a periodic table.
Right.
Remove the elements and put in capabilities.
Got
and do
it.
that based on the way you ingest the data. I bring the data in, I need to know, is it secure? Is it trusted? Is it reliable? Then I need to structure that data. Then I need to understand, what is that data telling me? What is that actionable insight? And from that perspective, how do I manage that overall data? And then how do I visualize that?
That's great.
So those 6 categories became the basis for a capabilities periodic table. And that periodic table has 64 capabilities.
Oh, amazing.
Based on those 6 regions. Well, now let's take that forward. Actually, we brought that out about 2.5, 3 years ago, and it's had thousands of downloads. In fact, we've had members come in and say, yeah, I was just working on this program, and my end customer came in and said, look, I have a new opportunity here. I want you to develop it based on this capability periodic table, which they had already known very well and actually gone through and done implementations. We've had members join, or companies join, just because of the value that they've recognized by using that.
Okay.
So we brought that in. Fast forward, here we are into May. We launched a new area, our composability framework area, focused on what is the next step for that periodic table. Well, the next step was to make it machine readable and allow it so that we could now use that and customize and tailor that.
Okay.
And we do that and tailor that through basically creating a YAML script, and you get the specifics that are needed to tailor it to your specific application. But then use AI to identify all those different areas that you would have. So by doing that, we said, you know, this is great. We're able to do this. This is all open source. It's on our GitHub. So we have an open source collaboration community as well. So you can download all this information with examples. There's documentation, there's reference designs, examples of how this is implemented. They said, you know, if we can do this for the capabilities, let's cut through the hype of what an agent is. And let's bring out, like you said, those 5 levels of increased levels of autonomy,
right,
and characterize those agents. And you were at the member meeting, you brought out some great valid points about that. We refined that. So we listened to our members.
so there's a question over there. So SmartAvatar joined Digital Twin Consortium.
Absolutely.
So we joined it. So how do you see the role of this startups and small companies like ours?
I think what it really is bringing forward is we want to bring out the innovation, bring out the thought leadership that the companies, that the startups that come out of either the universities or out of private industry, and now bring that forward and demonstrate that leadership. And so the Testbeds serve as a mechanism to do that.
Right.
On top of that, and you have to be a member to bring these forward. Again, it's a member value. But what we're really seeing is that the Testbeds become ecosystems unto themselves. And we have, one I believe has 9 different members contributing to it.
Wow.
And those ecosystems now, they start to show different areas that overlap into some of the other test beds. Think about security. Think about some of the ways that you're using multi-agent in these applications. So now we start to see these ecosystems turn into this constellation. So you're having a constellation of innovation and excellence that lead to best practices.